Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a first of its kind, I believe, here on my channel. It's going to be just a quick sort of get ready with me video. My hair is wet. I just got out of the shower. The only thing I have on my face currently, I believe, is my skincare and lip balm. But let's just go ahead and get started. So I thought we'd do sort of like a chatty one, and I might tell you a little bit more about me, since I haven't really gone into much detail here on my channel. So first, however, we're going to be using a primer. This is the e.l.f. Mineral Infused Primer. This is one that I received for free from Influencer for testing and reviewing purposes. And it's not my all-time favorite primer from them, though I do love the, oh, Loki's coming over. Buddy, come here. Come here. Yeah, he's right there. He's not going to come much closer. But my all-time favorite primer from them is the one in the pink bottle. This is the one in the white bottle. It's their poreless one, and I really, really enjoy that primer. This one is not the best for my combo to oily skin. Though since we are in the winter months, it's much better for my skin than it would be than if it was for hotter and in the summer months. So the first thing I'm going to do is a little bit of color correcting. Oh, he's getting a squeaky toy. Sorry if you guys hear a little bit of squeaking. The first thing that I'm going to do is a little bit of color correcting. Bless you. Because I do have a couple of healing spots that are quite red. So I am going to, actually, I'm going to put it on my finger so I don't touch them specifically. But I'm just going to do a little bit of color correcting on some of these spots that are a bit more red than the rest of my skin. Bless you, Loki. I just want to cover that up a little bit. I'm not going in with a super full coverage foundation today, so I just wanted to do a little bit of, or give a little bit of extra help. 2-inch fingers, that should be good. Ooh. This is just a little, I'm sorry, a little baby sample of the Urban Decay Naked Skin, the color correcting fluid, and this again is the green one. Okay. Anyway, so yes, let's talk about my pets. So that was Loki that you saw his ear down here in the bottom corner of the screen. I have had him for 5.5 years now. Let's put a little bit of on my cheek since I do get redness there. 5.5 years now, and I adopted him from my local, not Humane Society, the my local county animal control shelter. So I went 5.5 years ago. It was May. Oh geez, almost 6 years now. So I went to my local animal control shelter. Looking for a cat or a dog. Probably, I think it was preferably a dog because I lived by myself. I still live by myself, but so I was alone a lot of the time, and I wanted a little bit more, not protection really, because he's not a guard dog whatsoever. Next, sorry, I'm going to be going in with my Josie Marin Vibrancy Foundation in the shade RG5 Dynamic. Give it a little shake. And so I went to the pound with a friend of mine, and Real Techniques bunch it out. And I actually went to the pound a couple of times, and he was there every time. Surprisingly, because he is, if not pure Siberian Husky, he is a pretty heavily Siberian Husky mixed dog, which, you know, he's a very, I'm not trying to be biased, he's a stunning animal. So I was really surprised that he was there the multiple times that I went. You know, I wasn't really sure, was I ready for the responsibility of a dog and whatnot. But so I went the first time with a friend, and when I walked down the, there's a couple different lines of cages in the one room that I was in, and I'm just using the viewfinder. I apologize. That's why I keep looking a little bit down, but I did not bring a mirror. Well, I have one in my palette, I guess, when I need one for more up close things. But so I went down the one line, and then I went down the other line, and he was the very first cage when I was rounding the corner. And I just stopped and I looked at him, and he just looked at me. He got up, he looked at me, and he just goes, "Hello." Oh, when I do that, he just starts howling. So he just started howling at me. I was like, well, I think this is a sign. And so I took him outside in the pen and everything. Bring it down my neck. I feel like I didn't put that much on. and he was wonderful. He was already trained, so he knew his commands. He knew sit and stay for the most part. I did get to teach him to lie down and to shake and those sorts of things, but I really didn't ask much about him. But so that was the first time I went. The second time I took another one of, no, I think the second time I actually took my boyfriend at the time, and introduced them, and, you know, got his opinion on everything. He was a very friendly dog at the time. His eyebrows do make him look a little bit aggressive, but I promise he is a big baby. Okay, I think that is sufficient for the foundation. Let me just check my mirror real quick. So that was the second time I went, and my boyfriend at the time was very encouraging. He really wanted me to get him. Maybe just a little bit more on my cheek and forehead. This is still just the first pump that I put on. And my nose a little bit. Okay. So that was the second time. The third time was the time that I was dead set. I was going to go pick him up or adopt him. And then that I took my best friend with me. She came, and she's not a dog fan, but she fell in love with him too. He's not loud. He doesn't bark. I don't think he knows how to bark. Since he is husky, again, he howls, but he doesn't howl very often unless antagonized or encouraged by my family, who think it's just hilarious when he does it. Okay, so that is sufficient for the foundation. Let's just wipe off the excess. I'm surprised it didn't go through a full pump, but I didn't. Okay, so that is the foundation. Next, we're going to go in with the Tarte Shape Tape Concealer in the shade Fair. And I just do a little bit under my eyes. This stuff is heavy duty. 2 dots usually do the trick for me, and I'm going to blend it out with the other side of my sponge. Yes, best friend, Pound. And there was actually a smaller dog that I've also always loved Boston Terriers for some reason, and the day that I went to adopt him, there was a Boston Terrier, and I kind of had my hesitations. You know, I was like, oh, he's kind of a bigger dog. He's not massive, but he's 56 pounds, and he's a bigger dog on the scale from like a toy poodle or a Yorkie to a Mastiff. He's more towards, you know, the medium, large scale. But so anyway, I of course ended up going with my Loki, and he ended up coming home with me a couple days later. They had to fix him. They had to make sure he was healthy and everything. And it was funny because only after I adopted him and went to the pound 3 or 4 days later to pick him up, did I really ask any questions about him. I didn't know how old he was. I didn't know what his story was. I was just so in love with this dog that none of that really mattered. It turned out he was at least 3 or 4 when I got him, so I never got to see him as a puppy, though I'm sure he would have been absolutely adorable as a puppy. Okay, so a little bit more blending now that we have the concealer on. I'm not going to go in to conceal any of my spots. I don't really need a full face today. So now we are going to be doing powder to set all that to set the makeup on my face. I'm going with my e.l.f. Tone Correcting Powder in the Cool version. It looks like this. It's a really nice finely milled powder, and it works really well for my pale complexion. So yeah, like I said, I didn't really ask all that much about him until I went to pick him up, and he was just so ready to come home. So the person that went back to get him said, when she came back out with him, she said, you know, you're really lucky. We don't know how he lasted at the pound as long as he did. Someone is really going to be missing him, but no one came to look for him at the pound. So I've eyelid primer, the Wet n Wild eyeshadow primer that I love so very much. My guess as to how he ended up in the pound in the first place is because he is a runner. He hasn't run away since I moved into this apartment, which is about, I want to say a year and a half. It was a year at the end of June, beginning of July. So he has not run away since then, but he has had his moments. Running is in Huskies' blood. It's in their DNA. They are meant to run. So we go on lots of hikes. We go to the dog park. We can run his little heart out. But sometimes he has escaped. He is a very intelligent dog. Sometimes too smart for his own good. He knows how to unlock doors. He knows how to open them and run away. But luckily, after the first couple attempts. He now has a GPS collar, so I always know where he is. I know when he leaves the home zone. He always is with me now. Like I said, he hasn't run away since, which is really wonderful. Though I think his older age might be a cause for that as well. He is, like I said, he was 3 or 4 when I got him, or roughly, and I've had him for 5.5 years, so he is not a young spry pup anymore, but he still acts it. Whenever I take him to the park, people always ask, how old's your dog? And I say, oh, well, he was 3 or 4 when I got him. And they're like, oh, okay. I said, but I've had him for 5.5 years, or vice versa, however I tell the story. People always think, oh my gosh, I thought he was a puppy, which is okay in my book because I want him to be around as long as possible. So that is the Loki story. I'm going to go in, so sorry, with my Tartelette and Bloom palette, and I'm going to go in just with Flower Child, this one right here, all over my lid, to sort of set that primer, mostly in my crease. However, oh no, I didn't bring a lid base. Oh well, we're not going to go that crazy today anyway. So that is my Loki story. Now, Leo, who is sitting below us right now, I've had him since he was a kitten. Actually, about like a 4 or 5 week old kitten. I got him from, so my undergrad is in biology, my master's is in public health. When I was in my undergrad program over the summer, I worked in the biology labs. Actually, throughout the school year, also I worked in the biology the biology department labs, doing some research. And one of the people that I worked with one semester over the summer had a farm and had a kitten. She goes, we have one left. We don't really have a home for him, and it was a male. So, and I do prefer male animals, male cats specifically. She brought him into the lab one day. I swear he was like this big, teeny tiny, I'm gonna say maybe 5 weeks old. I think she told me he was 8 weeks, but I honestly don't think he was that old. I think she just needed to find him a home. So little Leo Butt, he's all black, he's handsome as could be, came home with me primarily because I thought Loki had separation anxiety and he needed a friend. Why am I blabbering and not doing makeup? I'm going to go in with Smarty Pants, this little crease, this mid-tone lighter brown crease shade. Anyway, so Loki was having separation anxieties the summer that I brought him home, and I figured, I don't know if I was not getting another dog, but I had always had cats growing up, and I hadn't had one in a while. So I went and stumbled upon Leo, and I thought maybe a cat will help with Loki's separation anxiety. Funny story, Loki did not like Leo. At first, Leo would try to, they'd both be in bed with me, and Leo would try to sneak up behind Loki and curl up teeny tiny and try to, cuddle for warmth and for comfort. He was an animal. He thought, maybe he's his mom. I don't know. But Loki, whenever he would actually notice, he would immediately get out of bed, jump out of bed and say, screw this. And I've always read, before I got Loki, I had read up on Huskies, and they are not exactly the most friendly, I guess, towards smaller animals. They have a really high prey instinct, I guess. Predator instinct, the opposite of prey. But not once has he ever, or did he ever, when Leo was little, go after him or anything like that. My little sister has guinea pigs, and one passed away recently, but he absolutely loves, like when we take them outside, he likes to, groom them and make sure they don't run away. If one starts running, he'll corral them back. It's really quite cute. Anyway, so that is in my crease. Okay. I'm just going to do a little bit of, let's do Funny Girl, I guess, on the lid. This one of the luster shades in this palette. I didn't get a base, so it's not going to stay all that well on my lid. I usually prefer some sort of base when I'm putting on a more shimmery shade, but hopefully the primer will suffice today. Anyway, so Leo came home with me, and he did not help the separation anxiety. What did, however, was a crate. So I brought one home. I borrowed from my mom for her dog that never actually used it. And it turns out I think Loki was crate trained before I adopted him. So I think he just sort of needed that structure and that space, that confinement when I was gone, and that really solved all problems. He goes right into it willingly. I never had to coerce him or anything, and now he even uses it when I'm home. He'll even just walk right into it and lay down, even if I'm not going anywhere. So it's just his space, and I think he really needed it. Before I had dogs, you know, I didn't really understand the crate situation. I thought it was kind of cruel almost, but he uses it as like a safe space, and like I said, he uses it when I'm even here in the apartment, so it's not something that I am opposed to any longer. All right, so that is the Leo and Loki story. So I've had Leo since the same summer that I adopted Loki, so Leo is about 5.5 years old, and I just love them both to pieces. So that is the pet story. Let's see. I can talk a little bit more about my, so I'm going to put a little bit of Rebel on the outer corners of my eye with just this little, I haven't told you guys my brushes. It's not that. They're mostly e.l.f. / this one Morphe brush / this one Sony Kashuk brush, I think, that came in a set. I just want to put a little bit on my outer corner. So my education background, again, my undergrad is in biology. My master's degree is in public health. I went to 2 different schools. I don't, for both of my degrees, undergrad is at one, my master's was at another. I did post-secondary when I was in high school, so I was able, for like the last year and a half, I was in high school. I was finished with my high school coursework, and was able to take post-secondary classes up at the same university I did my undergrad at. So I was able to finish my undergrad degree in about 3 years, which was really, really convenient. And then I finished my master's in 2. Currently, so I've been finished with my master's degree for about 2.5 years now, and I have been working, unfortunately not in my field, for about the same time. After I finished my master's in August, I got a job the following month. After applying to many, many, many positions, you know, finding a job can be quite difficult. I think that's about even. Let's do brow. Let's actually do a little bit of Flower Child up to sort of buff everything together. But yeah, so I'm actually starting a new job the 9th of January. So my last day at my current position is on the 6th. I'm starting a new job on the 9th. So that should be interesting. It was a good step for me financially, a good step for me, I think, career path-wise. Still not in my field, unfortunately, but what are you going to do? So next I'm going to do my brows, and I like to do, this is the Anastasia Brow Powder Duo in the shade Dark Brown, and I dip into this side primarily and like one little dab into that one. And then I just, let's use the teeny tiny mirror to fill in my brows. So that is my education background. When I did research at my first university, I worked with whale blubber, and some people think, whale blubber, how on earth? I live in Ohio, by the way, so that is not a common place for whales to be. It's not their natural habitat. But what we were able to do was use whale blubber samples that a neighboring university had obtained by going up to a city or a town in Alaska that the Inuits actually are legally allowed to hunt for whales, and they gave us some samples to do some research on bowhead and beluga whales, primarily bowhead. But so that is what my, nope, upside down. That is what the research that I studied in undergrad was. Super exciting, I know, but it was actually kind of cool because how else am I ever going to say I was able to see whale blubber? All right, so I just wanted to fill in my brows a little bit, give them a little bit more color. My hair is still quite damp from the shower. Okay, so next, let's do a little bit of bronzer, my favorite bronzer of the year. hint, hint, it's going to be my 2016 favorites, and that is the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer in the shade Bronzer. I believe there's a light bronzer, but I think it's a little bit more warm-toned, which doesn't work for my complexion. I'm just using the e.l.f. complexion brush to sort of warm up my skin tone a little bit, since that foundation can be a little bit light, surprisingly, on my skin tone, which is awesome, because usually I don't have that problem. It's usually that they are too dark. Okay, so just want to bronze up the skin a bit. All right, so what next? What else can I chat about? I guess my family. I can talk about my family a little bit. So I come from a rather large family. My parents have both been divorced and both had more kids. So I'm the oldest of 7 total, 9 if you include step siblings. So that can be a ton. But let's see, let's do some highlight next. We're going to be using the Mary Luminizer from The Balm. Love, love, love. This is probably an all-time favorite for me. Let's do a little bit on the e.l.f. small tapered brush and on the high points of my cheekbones. So I am the oldest of 7, like I said, 9 if you count step siblings, but they didn't really come into my life until I was 20, maybe? I didn't really meet them until then, maybe 18 or 19. So I don't really count them as like the kids I grew up with, I guess. Okay, so that is the Mary Luminizer that I love. So from that experience of all these children, I do not want children of my own. If I do, I want one, and I hope he's really well behaved, or she preferably, I think. I think I'll just have Loki and Leo forever, and that'll be cool. But so that is sort of my family life. My parents are still really close. You know, we still live near enough to each other that we see each other often. Family is pretty important to me. I do love my family. Let's do a little bit of blush left. This is the new Revlon powder blush, I guess. 004 Rosy Rendezvous is the shade name. I'm not going to use that brush. I am going to, however, use my Morphe E3 brush. It's sort of a tapered, fluffy brush, I guess. And I really love it for blush application. And I just sort of primarily stick to the high points of my cheekbones and primarily to the back, because I do get rosy in this area anyway. I don't really need excess color. All right, let's see. Just a nice little flush. All right, now time for liner. I'm just going to use a little sample of the Kat Von D tattoo liner in the shade Trooper that came in, I believe it's a Sephora Play Box. Then I did get a full size in a Sephora Favorite set, but I am using this bad boy up first. So that's family. So I have 5 brothers and 1 sister. The sister came, she's the most recent of the siblings, but she's 12 now. So I was the only girl for quite a while before she came around. So that is the, messed that up a little bit. But that is the siblings story. Not a very exciting one, I guess. I'm not going to do like a wing or anything because number 1, I'm terrible at that. Number 2, I don't think I could do it on camera. But I am just going to line my eye to give it a little bit of definition before we go in with mascara. Okay. I think that's pretty even. Alright, so that was liner. And finally, we're going in with mascara, and we are using my all-time favorite, my Too Faced Better Than Sex mascara. It is on its way out, but I have added a couple drops of some, or a couple eye drops, a couple different times to try and get the last little bit out of it. It's actually been working quite well at reviving what is left inside this tube. So let's see, boyfriend. So my boyfriend, we have been together for almost 2.5 years, or 2.5 years next month. And we met through my best friend, actually. They were in the same program at school together, and they actually shared an apartment together, and that is how we stumbled across each other. But yes, we've been together for 2.5 years. He's pretty fun. I like him a lot. Let's see. My family often asks, and I think his family often asks also, if we are getting engaged anytime soon. The answer to that question is no. I am nowhere near ready to get married. Like I said, my parents have been divorced multiple times, so that is not something that I'm looking forward to or looking to rush into. Look at the difference. Oh my goodness. I love, love, love this mascara. Um, and let's see, what else can we talk about? We've gone on vacation together many times, gone many different trips together. Travel is something that I need in my life. From a young age, my mom and my dad instilled that sense of wanderlust into me, and I really cannot imagine my life without travel. So when I was younger, um, my first sort of far away place, like overseas, was France. And France, of course, for my necklace, is my all-time favorite place. Paris specifically, and the heart in this necklace is over Paris. It's one of my all-time favorite places. I've been back, I want to say 5 or 6 times in my lifetime, and I can't wait to go back again. The most recent time was about 3 years ago, 3 years ago, I think. I went with some people that I met around when I was in grad school. They weren't from my grad school or from my program or anything. They were just people that, sorry, there's like a fuzzy and it's bugging me. Maybe I'm just making it up. But so we went on a wonderful trip. We started in Dublin because it was cheaper to fly into Dublin than anywhere else, like by a significant amount. So we started in Dublin, went to Venice, Rome, Paris, London, and back to Dublin for our return flight home. And it was just an awesome trip, and I cannot wait to go back. But boyfriend travel, so we've gone to Washington, D.C. That was our first Christmas trip. We've been to Florida a couple times together. Where else have we been? I feel like we've been other places too. But we love traveling. It's costly, but it's something that we like to do together and experience new things and those sorts of things. Anyway, so a little bit more about my boyfriend. But yeah, so that is my full face and a little bit. Wow, this video is half an hour long. Who knows if this is actually going to get published. Anyway, so if you guys have any questions about me or about the products that I use, please feel free to let me know down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.